The Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
For artists that want to follow a realistic style, I don't know that you necessarily have to overthink about an influence like me or any other painter who does realism. You can certainly get a lot from the pieces that we've done, maybe even imitate some of those compositions, but I think you'll find your own way once you're just studying reality, which is what I would do. I mean, if I'm going to look at people, things, photographs, it's beneficial to start shooting your own if you can get into that. And these days, since everybody's got a camera, that's not so much of an issue anymore. Being able to study life as the basis for something is the best. I had the longest problem of thinking I needed to have everybody and every element be perfect before I could use it as a reference source. And so it took me a long time to realize how flexible the basis of the human form is. I've posed for myself on loads of paintings where now I guess I'm called out by some people online. It's a process of getting your mind comfortable with what you're building off of. And at a certain point, I would say accept that you're going to feel like you're not seeing it until you've seen it. You know, that maybe you do need to have a thing look like a thing exactly before you're painting from it.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's time again for another Word Balloon Live for the weekend, the Comic Book Conversation Show. John Suntress here. He's one of my guys. Man, I'll tell you, if we're both not at New York Comic Con, but if we were at a convention, it's very likely that we'd be sitting right now talking to each other live as opposed to here via StreamYard. But it's great to welcome back Tony Fleecs. Tony.
Hey, John. Hey, everybody. Happy to be back.
Good to see you, Dave.
Happy to not be at a convention right now. I've seen a lot of people saying that they don't have that same FOMO that you normally have about New York Comic Con. I would love to be hanging out with some of my buddies and my friends out there right now, but this feels much better to me. Like I'm at my house. I have my dog here. We're safe.
Good deal. Good deal.
Nobody's bumping into me.
So let's see here. There's Patricia.
That's Trish. Hello. She draws the book Stray Dogs.
There you go, and that's great. So she's messing with you there with who's Tony Fleecs. And yes, as much as it is to talk about the new project, Time Shopper, it is also an opportunity. And Patricia, I apologize because I want you to share in this victory lap with Stray Dogs because that was great. It's excellent. I'm so glad that it seems to have reached the right audience, and it seems like it was a hit. Was it a hit, Tone?
Was a hit, John. It's my first time back on Word Balloon as a best-selling author.
I am so proud of you, man.
Yeah, me and Trish, we really went and did the thing. I came on, last time I was on was right when the book was coming out. And you had read it and you knew it was cool, but everybody else read it now too, and they think it's cool also. So,
you know, honestly, Tone, I said this recently about Elsa Chartier, who I think is such a genius as well.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm like, Elsa, you are like one hit away from the world going, oh my God, did you get the latest Elsa Chartier book? She's amazing. Oh yeah, I've read her for years. She's amazing. So thank you, Patricia. My pleasure. Absolutely. Again, beautiful job, Patricia, on the art. It really is so gorgeous. And it really is this wonderful paradox in terms of being this adorable story of a serial killer. These poor dogs.
Very cute dogs, very dark subject.
Yeah, man. No, brilliant. Fucking brilliant. Seriously. And that is awesome to hear. And in fact, Tone, it was a convention weekend here in Chicago. I remember sitting with you at the Hyatt, and and you introduced me to the artist and showed me art from Time Shopper.
Yeah, Christian Misi, the artist on that. You came out. It was a wizard show, and you came out and hung out with us. And we went out and we had, what was that sandwich we had?
Oh yeah, we went to. Did we go to Mr. Beef or did we go to Al's? I think we went to an Al's.
Yeah.
Which
a
isn't
very
like
Chicago
that,
sandwich.
Yeah, it is. It's like one L stop away from the convention, and so worth it. And yeah, great food, excellent food. So yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, it's a good classic Chicago Italian beef. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, we went out. We had Italian beef, and then we came back to met up with Christian at the hotel bar, and he brought down pages from Time Shopper. He was working on it at the time, and I pitched it to you. I sort of let you in on what we were working on, and a very different book from Stray Dogs, which is like an animated style murder mystery. This is a adult cartoon sci-fi comedy about a guy that travels in time, and instead of fixing things and making the world a better place, he just shops and buys stuff. And it's a 48-page graphic novel, like a European format one shot that we were originally going to put out through reputable comics publisher Action Lab, and then that sort of fell apart early in COVID, and we decided, well, let's just kickstart this. Like, Christian has done a lot of self-published books, but he'd never done a Kickstarter, and I'd never done a Kickstarter, and we were sort of like, well, I mean, I guess if we're going to try this, this would be the perfect opportunity where we have a book that's finished, and it's the kind of book that you want to be able to tell, you want to be able to show people what it is. But, rather than just like when we solicited it originally, it was just such a struggle to be like, all right, we know it's from a publisher that you might not order a lot of books from, but you know me from My Little Pony and Jeff Steinberg, Champion of Earth and stuff. And it's just like, there's so much, when you're in the back of the catalog in previews like that, there's so much hustling and scrapping and like trying to get attention that if you don't just grab it just right, that's it. Like, you just sort of have that one day on FOC to really make a difference. And this way, with Kickstarter, we got 30 days, to sort of reach as many people as possible. And we were able to, we sort of made a campaign around the idea of the book where it's all part of the story, where the guy who's the time shopper, Carl, comes in and tells people, like, hey, I went back in time and I got my two favorite comic artists, Christian Misi and Tony Fleecs, to make this book about my adventures. And then all the stuff that the rewards that you get are stuff that like Carl went and traveled in time and grabbed. So instead of just doing like, a bookmark or a spot varnish or whatever, we got to do stuff like, he went back to 1993 and he got like primetime TV Pogs, or he went back to, the Nixon campaign and got a Nixon campaign button, just like cool stuff that we got to make that's sort of like ephemera that goes with the book.
That is very smart, Tone. I saw on Twitter that you were sharing the idea of Pogs, and I didn't realize why, and that's fantastic.
We have been so excited about these Pogs for, because we've been working on this for a long time. And when we had the idea for Pogs, we got psyched about them. And then Christian drew the Pogs. And then we got even more excited. We're just like, oh my God, like, look at this Sipowicz that he drew, and look at this Niles Crane that he drew, because it's all these 1993 TV show Pogs. And we were like, we made it like a hidden thing where we're going to reveal this thing, and then people are going to freak. They're going to lose their minds when we unleash these Pogs. And we unleashed them, like we revealed them, we sent out an update, and we sat back and watched the Kickstarter, like, here comes our riches, and just watched and nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, one guy just canceled his pledge. And we're just like, maybe we made a mistake. But I feel like the Pogs have been received well enough, and we love them. So.
Well, I think that's a genius marketing idea, seriously. And I haven't heard anyone take advantage of doing a time travel thing and then creating premiums along those lines. That's a great idea. And truly, both the premise that you sat down and explained to me that lovely night at the Hyatt, and also looking at the art and everything. No, it's cool. It's a lot of fun. It's a great project.
A buddy of mine who's like really good at coming up with like ephemera and ideas that go along with stories. Chris Ryder. I don't know. Did you ever read his book, Dames in the Atomic Age? I can't remember if you got that.
Tell me. Yeah.
He did this book years ago at a small press publisher that's actually House of Secrets Burbank. Like they were publishing their own comics for a while. And it's called Dames in the Atomic Age. And it's like this sort of noir, pulpy, sci-fi boxing story. Yeah, right?
Where the hell was I?
And it's got this main story, and it's drawn by this guy, Mark Sandroni, but then the inks and finishes are by the great Mike Vosberg. So it's got like this real classic style. And then it has all these interstitial chapters and sort of like additional stuff that's by like me and Chris Moreno and Tone and like all of our peeps.
Yeah, studio, absolutely, man.
And then we put it, I'll show you, it's this cool looking book.
Yeah, please.
We put it together in this like.
Stand by. Zooming in.
Boom.
Oh, now Tone, that does look familiar, and I don't know if I read it or not. But yeah, real cool.
Yeah, we got to do all kinds of cool like designy stuff, and
But
anyway, he did this one comic, and then his main job is that he's an editor, or he was an editor up until recently, but then he on the side makes like he's the guy that made the Star Wars custom figures that are just severed limbs. So it's like you get like a Wampa's arm or like Luke's hand or Count Dooku's head. And so he always has these cool ideas. And he's an old friend of mine who wants to like run a campaign with us. And he's the one that had all these ideas, like, oh, we should do it in the story and have it be a part of the story. And then we can have all this cool stuff. So it's all like his idea. I was just like, oh, we got to get our comic out somehow. What do we do? And he was just like, oh, we could do all this fun stuff. So he really made it fun for it.
That's great, man. And truly, I don't know how much we checked in the last year. I think we might have, we certainly texted each other. We might have talked once or twice. But yeah, man. So obviously losing the deal with Action Lab due to pencils down, I mean, everyone can relate. How else did it hit you? Were you able to function? Were you able to come up with some other things that you've been working on?
Yeah. I was just talking to I did another show earlier today. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. Well, I feel bad when I talk about COVID because like personally, like I went through some personal life stuff that sucked, but professionally, like right as the pandemic hit and I realized I wasn't going to do conventions at all. And that was like 40% of my money.
Sure.
And I was just like, look, we're in trouble. Right then, Chris Moreno, who was a studio mate and one of my best friends. He had been an art director on Muppet Babies for a couple of years at that point, and he just reached out and was like, "Hey, we need somebody to do this kind of work, and I know you can do it. And so, do you want to come on and do this?" So that sort of more than made up for my lost convention money for that year.
Wonderful.
And then Stray Dogs came out this year and just took off in such a way that I'm good. Like I'm good for a little while. So business-wise, it's been good, but then like this thing is sort of like unfinished business that we're just like, well, we got to get it out there,
I'm thrilled, and honestly, man, I mean, you're at your goal. Well, you're past your goal, but again, you still have almost 30 full days to kind of make it all happen even more. Are you using any services for fulfillment or anything like that? Because that's something that I sometimes forget to ask Kickstarter people if they're doing it all themselves or if they're we're going to do the fulfillment ourselves just because it's so many different combinations of things, but we are using BackerKit to do like shipping and the surveys and all that stuff afterwards. And then Alex Chung is saying he can't join us, but he loves us. So that's very nice, Alex.
We love him too.
Thank you, Alex.
So we're using BackerKit to do all the surveys and the shipping and all that stuff after the thing. So not fulfillment, but we are using somebody to help us along a little bit.
Okay, that's cool. I'm curious who are you talking to this afternoon?
I did a show called, I want to get it right, so let me look here. Geeks Unleashed.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Yeah, it's
Nice.
a guy and a lady, and she's in Texas and he is in the UK. And so it was like 1 a.m. for him when we were talking. And,
oh my God. I can relate. I had
that is.
I do. Well, first of all, like that's like prime Bendis time when all the kids are asleep and everything. 1 a.m. my time. But then also yesterday I was talking to Will. Damn it. Great Wales a writer. I'll look it up in a second. But first time I ever talked to him, not Bill Morrison. Who the hell was it again? Who the hell was it? Stand by. Rob Williams. Shame on me. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. Of course.
He's asleep right now, so he doesn't know that I'm.
He won't be offended by this.
No, and truly, I'll be dropping his audio tomorrow. But yeah, great guy, and yeah, it was like I'm like, okay, what works for you? And it was middle. It was 2:30 my time, and it was 8:30 UK time and everything. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I love talking to the Europeans in the afternoons, and I've got a good schedule now that I can afford to do it and everything. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, man, no, I'll accommodate you guys, but I am kind of around the clock. I haven't reached a point yet where I'm doing my 4 a.m. chats with anybody, but
I'm here for it when you do.
It's possible. It's certainly possible. I don't know. I assume that would be the Hawaiians that I'm talking to. Then my buddy Jason Kim was another podcaster and stuff. So,
yeah. You mentioned Bill Morrison. He's doing a Stray Dogs cover for us.
Hey, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Bill Morrison, of course, of Futurama fame.
Yeah. Bongo Comics.
Bongo Comics. Also, absolutely. The man and also a man who's done his share of emceeing the Eisners over the years. I mean, he's kind of the Bob Hope of the Eisners.
What a lot of people don't know about Bill Morrison is that before probably like in between his comics career, he was a movie poster artist, and he did the movie poster for Oliver and Company and Lady and the Tramp and The Little Mermaid, like the one with the dicks in it.
Wow.
He swears that he did not intentionally draw dicks. He's like a good religious guy. Like he's like, I didn't know anything about that.
That's so funny.
But then he also did horror movie posters. Like he did the poster for House.
I remember House
with like the severed hand ringing the doorbell. So yeah, he's working on a cover for us right now that sort of like mixes his great two talents of doing like on model animation style covers, and he's supposed to be doing it like old school for us with like airbrush and cutting shields and all that stuff, all the stuff that I don't know how to do.
That sounds amazing. I loved a couple of years ago he did a graphic novel version of Yellow Submarine.
Yes, yeah.
And he really went on model, and I'm like, this is like like somebody smuggled a camera in, like in my head canon, and it had a different point of view shooting along with the Beatles cartoon, but from different angles, and it turned out so amazing. It was such a great thing.
Yeah, he's super good at that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I like talking to Bill a lot. Well, this is cool, man. So yeah, 30 days for time shoppers, and I mean, again, I have you revealed all of your chronal freebies that you're premiums that you're doing?
We've got one more. So like, here's the rewards that are left. We had these two like super tiers. One came out first, the Ben Franklin tier, where Carl, the time shopper, went to Ben Franklin and was like, hey, I'm looking for a famous printer. I want to get somebody great to print this thing. And Ben Franklin was like, well, I mean, I can only do black and white, but I'll see what I can do. And so this one tier comes with like a black and white version of Time Shopper that's smaller, but it also features all the layouts and the script and like all the behind the scenes stuff. And it's like leather bound, printed like a bound comic book. Basically.
Wow.
But that also comes with, we had it like covered up and it's been revealed now, an Action Comics #1. But like Carl went back in time and was like, he met with, Siegel and Schuster and was just like, I'm so excited about this thing you're making, Superman. And they're like, what? Who you? And he ended up on the cover of Action Comics #1, along with Superman as the Screaming Guy. Yeah.
He's the Screaming Guy. That's fantastic.
So that's in there. And it's like this, will we get sued sort of art project thing where we're taking like Action Comics #1 reprints and ripping the covers off and putting new covers on them that have the Carl the Time Shopper in them. And then we just announced, after he saw Ben Franklin, he wanted to get more made, but he could not with him. So he went and hooked up with Johannes Gutenberg, or the Gutenberg Bible fame. And so there's a Gutenberg tier where you can get the Gutenberg edition of Time Shopper in black and white. And then that comes with the second most valuable comic of all time, Youngblood #1.
Wow.
And people nowadays probably don't know about this, but after the Extreme Comics universe, like the cinematic universe, really takes off in movies, Youngblood #1 is way expensive in the future. So so Carl threw some of those in there, and he he met out with the Extreme Boys, and he somehow also ended up inspiring a character on the cover of that comic book too. So he's in there as well. So there's still some Gutenberg tier rewards left, and we're sold out of the Ben Franklin tier with Action Comics #1, and then we have one more reward in just the regular, when people order like the shopping bag tier, the red one. There's one more secret reward that hasn't been on this yet that, like the Pogs, I think is going to set the world on fire. And I feel like people are just going to be like, whatever. This is all awesome, very specific to your own interests. That's
hilarious. Did you let Rob know about Youngblood and the story and everything?
Well, Rob doesn't own it. So I'm just hoping
that's that bullshit with what's his face? I've got a hyphen in my name. And I will. Well, he'll remain nameless, but we all know who we're talking about.
Yeah, we're hoping to just steer clear of that guy's ire.
I understand.
And, Christian, the artist of Time Shopper, was like, "What if we get that guy mad?" And I was like, "You know who the fuck you're talking to, Christian? I'm Stray Dogs, man. I don't give a shit about this guy." So we'll see. I guess I'm calling him out. Come get me.
Well, we'll let people connect the dots of who we're speaking about.
My lawyer's
and I'm not gonna. If someone has it in the chat, I'm not going to put it up. Sorry, kids, but that's fine, because again, I can appreciate that. Great idea, regardless. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, I said, we had a lot of fun with it, and just because it's a story about a guy shopping in time and just sort of like missing all the real exciting things. It's sort of it's like us. We spend our life with this nonsense, and we miss big things. And that's sort of at the heart of it, what this story's about. This guy going around and missing out on the cool stuff because he just wants to, get the little trinkets that he wants.
That's awesome. It reminds me too of in History of the World Part 1, when Mel Brooks' character is the waiter at the Last Supper, and at the end you got Da Vinci, and it's like, okay, everybody wants to be in the picture, everybody bunch up, and then they pan across the thing. And it's the classic lineup and stuff. But you realize Jesus's halo is actually like a waiter's tray, right. And it's Mel holding the tray over John Hurt's head.
Super good, man.
That's awesome.
Mel Brooks, a real talent. I don't know if you ever brought him up on this show before, but
by the way, I don't know if I think I was talking about it with Bendis the other night. I read this amazing new biography of Brooks by a guy who really wanted to go heavy, warts and all, kind of like Andrew Reisman with the Stan Lee book a few months ago. And it's hilarious because my friend, who's a hardcore writer, she just had her first novel come out and stuff. And she's like, Mel Brooks isn't a real writer. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, he doesn't sit in front of the typewriter and types. He's one of those guys that paces and talks. And I'm like, most of the film and TV writers that I know, they're pacer talkers. So I'm like, yeah. I'm like, sorry, man. I don't think that disqualifies Brooks. Well, he did a lot of shitty things to other collaborators and stuff. And I'm like, I read it, and it's interesting. If you're interested in Mel Brooks, I think it's fair. But I do think it's the only thing that I do think the guy keeps coming back to, and I think that's why it was so hard on my friend's head too, was that he's not a real writer. He's not in front. Once again, Mr. Brooks was not in front of the typewriter, and I'm like, don't care. Yeah, funny guy. Whatever. What are you gonna do?
But that's how Deadwood did it. You and Bendis were talking about it.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah. David Milch, I want to say.
Yeah. It lays on a beanbag and
kind of just
whatever it takes.
Stammers to a guy. All right, don't worry, we're writing it down. Sid Caesar's show and all those great writers, Neil Simon and Mel Tolkien and Larry Gelbart and Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner eventually became a performer writer and stuff. And yeah, they had like Tony Webster and Mike Stewart were among, and Aaron Rubin, I believe, as well, the guy who co-created the Andy Griffith Show. They were all like the typists and stuff that at times would, okay, fine, that's their job, is to pick the best lines and put them in the script and everything. Nothing wrong with that. That's and again, those guys are geniuses while they weren't in front of the typewriter. So whatever. What do you got? Too much, man.
You know, what book I'm excited about is the new Douglas Wolk, All the Marvels.
I have 2 copies at my feet right now, and I was shocked that they sent me 2 copies, but they did. So, I'm going to be donating.
You got my address.
I was going to say my favorite stores. But yeah, man, I'm going to be talking to Doug hopefully in the next few weeks and stuff. That'll be great.
That's such a cool idea for a book.
Yeah, absolutely.
He reads all of Marvel Comics for like all the way up through like the Bronze Age and stuff, right? Like for a long time. Yeah. And then contextualizes it and turns it into like chapters of this ongoing saga. Instead of being single issues, he turns it into like this section's about fathers and this section's about,
in a different way, Pisker, I liked what Ed Pisker did rereading the X-Men and putting out those giant oversized versions of like his versions of the X-Men stories. And they Marvel printed them and stuff, but it was fun. But you're right. This is more obviously Doug's more of a prose guy and stuff. So it's a real book. It's a real book about comics.
Yeah, it's like a scholarly look at the, I love that. I mean, not to say that I've dedicated my whole life to nonsense, but like, you look at the stuff that's for like children's stories, and like for him to step back and be like, well, here's what it was actually about. Look at, the lens, look at all.
Literally, when Diana Schutz, and I forget which university, if she's still with the same university, but when I developed a real course about comics and comics appreciation and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's about time. And that's great. And I'm so glad that that is one of the few good things I think in the last 20 years as culture wars have dumbed us down and divided us, that thankfully comics have finally started being recognized as a real storytelling medium that's worthy of critique and exploration and appreciation.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll agree with that.
I know you do. What else, man? I mean, all right, I got to be honest because this weekend, No Time to Die is out there, and I don't know if I'm going to rush to the theater for that. I did not rush to the theater for Black Widow. I still haven't seen Shang-Chi. Have you braved the theaters?
I've been back I've got a movie club that we shut down for all of COVID. We got the AMC Premiere Access, sure. We get three free movies a week. We only end up using about one of them, but we go every week. We're going to see James Bond on Monday, so I'll see that then. I'm not a huge James Bond.
No.
So I like them just fine, but I don't obsess over them or go back and watch them over and over again. But I got friends that do, so I like to just keep up. I'm more excited about we're in like horror movie season right now.
Oh, very well. Sure. Does it ever end? Does horror? I mean, I know it's Halloween season and everything.
Yeah. Luckily, no. But there's some fun ones coming. I'm very excited to see Lamb. I've got con crud I was at a show in South Dakota last weekend, and I thought I had COVID. I took a test and I do not. But if I was feeling 100%, I would go out and check out Lamb this week. And that's the A24 one with the little boy that's a lamb, or maybe it's a little girl. Have you seen the trailer?
I haven't, but immediately when you tell me it's an A24 movie, I know it's in good hands. So
yeah, it looks so messed up. I cannot wait. But yeah, we saw Malignant a couple of weeks ago, and that was bonkers. So yeah, we're in prime horror movie season, and plus just Shudder is firing on all cylinders right now with putting out their Halloween stuff, and so
I had the Boulet brothers on, the hosts of Dragula, and great guys, man. I'd never met him before. Steve Orlando hooked us up, all of us up, and he was on the call too. And man, we just had a blast talking. And they are hardcore comic book fans, and I always love when I meet not only just anybody, and it's like, oh, I'm into comics, and you have no idea, and it's like, what are your runs? What do you love? And yeah, they were great, man. They had great observations. And also, I'm like, wouldn't you love to, get your hands on some of the characters? Oh, please, yes. So no, good dudes, really good dudes.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm psyched about that though. But mostly, I mean, I'm just here working all the time.
Sure.
We're deep in production on the Stray Dogs follow up, and then
outstanding.
And then just Time Shopper Kickstarter stuff, and making sure that that's all ready to go when the final number comes in. We can tell the printer how many to print and press send. And
I mean, forgive the stupid question, and I think you might have even told. Well, actually, no, because again, it was just getting started. Is there, I mean, like animation interest, obviously, in Stray Dogs and that?
Oh yeah, we sold that to Paramount early on, like before the book even came out.
They need it. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear, man. Because that's like, I mean, that's the thing. You want that, like, you could just see sitting in the theater and like, oh, this is like Lady and the Tramp. This is
yeah. We made a trailer for the comic, and I just imagine like the big version of that, where it's just like a very gentle, it's an animated dog movie, and then all of a sudden you're just like, what is happening? What is this?
That's gonna be great, guys.
I would love to.
I'm very excited for you and Patricia. That's wonderful.
Well, you know how this stuff works, though. It's right now it's been optioned, and so if they decide to make a movie, they'll make the movie. But it's it's close. Like it's
well,
we'll find out soon.
Yes, and until the movie is made, all bets are off, and I understand that.
Yeah.
If things, God forbid, if they do fall through with Paramount, I imagine someone else, maybe an A24, maybe somebody else would definitely find value in this and make it happen.
Yeah, that's sort of the common wisdom is sort of like generally the second time you option something, it'll be for less than the first time and so on and so forth. But in this case, we optioned it before it was anything. And now it's like last week was the number one selling graphic novel in comics. So like
for the month,
it's a little more valuable than it was when we sold it. So we'll see, Yeah, thank you, Bill.
So there you go, man. Absolutely, the audience knows; they're aware.
Yeah, hopefully it's a Paramount movie, but if it's not, I feel like it'll end up somewhere at some point.
Okay, and now you got to work your guys' magic and let me get in and do a voice or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So come on.
What's your dog voice sound like? You want to audition right now?
No, what do you want? I mean, I could go like the old school guys where Phineas J. Whoopi was really Frank Morgan from The Wizard of Oz. Stuff like so I can imitate someone. You want me to wait for our master? Is that what I'll do like an Alan Arkin? Is that what you want me to do? You want me to wait around all day? I'll do that.
I mean, you know how they cast movies now. They would just get Alan Arkin.
Exactly. Especially now. All right, I'm 85. All right, I'll do it. Do I have to get up? Will the BT? All right, I'll do it. So remember when Connery did that one? I forget what it was called, where it was like Jack Frost and Santa Claus and everybody.
Yeah,
all the mythical characters were like forming a superhero team and everything.
Yeah, what was that? Was that the Guardians?
I think it was Rise of the Guardians. Very good. Well done. There you go, Tone. See, we eventually we'll figure it out between you and me. We could usually figure most of these movies out. What have you been watching beyond horror?
Same thing as everybody. I've been
you like the Marvel shows?
I watch those. I'm not like when I'm in the middle of them, I'm psyched, and then afterwards, sort of like just like fast food. Like it's great, and then afterwards, I don't want to think about it very much.
That's hilarious. I felt that way about WandaVision. I really loved Falcon and Snowman.
I know you did.
Yes, the classic that had the David Bowie "This Is Not America" theme song, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I'll be honest, I've been like maybe to savor them and give myself more time between if Hawkeye is next. We still have a few weeks or whatever, but I've been kind of slow on What If. I've enjoyed What If a lot, and I was a OG What If reader back in the first issue. I mean, they had me at a low. So but Patricia apparently loved What If as well.
She loved that. She's a big Peggy Carter fan, so that first episode was made for Trish.
That was a blast. A lot of fun.
I'm like a couple episodes behind on it. It's just been crazy over here, so I'm not all the way up to speed on everything, but.
And I haven't watched the Star Wars whatever they're called.
Visions,
thank you, which is like Star Wars version of the Animatrix, which I adored. I loved the Animatrix back in the day, and all my friends that are Star Wars people are gushing over it. Mark DeMatteis and I were talking on Tuesday, and I'm more cut from his cloth in terms of love Star Wars. Kind of like you said about James Bond, I really enjoy it. Always looking forward to it. Always end up watching it, and even go to the pre-COVID would go to the movies as soon as they came out. But I'm more of a, as you know, more of a Star Trek guy, and it's like so yeah. I have to say, and there's only one more episode of Lower Decks. I think I've been enjoying Lower Decks season 2 more than I have season 1.
I haven't seen it. They hit me up. I don't know if it's announced yet. But they were talking about maybe doing a comic.
Oh wow! Oh God! Tell them
they hit me up about it, but I hadn't seen it, so I was just like, I don't know. I would love to, but I don't know.
That's interesting. Well, yeah, I hope that works out if you got time and the interest, because
it didn't, and I don't. But I'm sorry, John. I feel like I've let you down.
No, IDW let us down because I appreciate the look of it, and truly IDW has handled not only classic Trek but new Trek so well that I have the faith that they would find funny people, like the Bongo Comics days, and we would always get great Simpsons and Futurama comics, as much as great animated versions of it too. So yeah, I certainly have a lot of faith in IDW being able to match people up for that stuff.
I think they came to me because I had been doing Rick and Morty at the time.
Yeah,
sort of like a Rick and Morty style.
Sure. I could see that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I've been watching. I've just finished Ted Lasso last night, like everyone, and I've been watching Only Murders in the Building and Impeachment, of course. I keep up with my American Crime Story.
Very cool.
All the stuff that, it's what I, what's great about COVID.
Talk to me.
It's almost like primetime days, when like everybody's watching the same stuff, like it happened with Tiger King at first, and it's sort of like we're almost as far apart as we've all been driven. Like there's certain things that everybody's comes back around on. We're
all sharing the experience.
We all watch Mandalorian,
Yes.
And so I do like that. I mean, it's been a nightmare, the world falling apart like it has, but like in a Pollyanna sort of way, you want to look at the positive, and it has been nice to be able to share in this stuff, this sort of like cultural stuff that comes out that we can all sort of agree on. And I feel like Stray Dogs like kind of was in a real fortunate place to be like one of those things, for people that read comics, like like it really, a bunch of people read it, and it was sort of a thing month to month where people could sort of check in and just be like, oh, can you believe what happened? Or, oh my God, so.
That's what I was hoping to do with doing these word balloon videos.
Daily word balloons. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, hey man, if you need a break, and I mean, God, beyond even COVID, the news isn't helping anyway, regardless. And yeah, sometimes it's just like, all right, like, is there any good news? And especially when the well was dry for the big over the air networks because of production and stuff. And all the streamers suddenly came through with, guess what? We got good stuff that we've been sitting on, and we'll be happy to release it and stuff. No, I was even looking at and I forget the reason why now, but I know the Netflix guy was just interviewed a couple weeks ago, and obviously wanted to chime in on the whole like Scarlett Johansson and Black Widow and theaters versus watching stuff at home. That was the general subject. But they also released a lot of numbers on various Netflix shows for the first time, if ever. And it was great to see like Rucka's movie, The Old Guard, with Charlize Theron. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we did fine. We got 60 million people. It's like, that is outstanding, man. And that's and it wasn't, Bridgerton obviously did like double that and some of these other things, but it's like, it was so cool to see like our friends like, hey, look at that, man. That's great. Greg's movie did really well. People watched it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So did you see Polar, Victor Santos's, the adaptation on Netflix? I thought that was really good.
No, I didn't see it. I thought you had numbers for it.
Oh, I they didn't, it wasn't on the list, But I enjoyed it, and I was so happy for Victor and everything, because I know other friends have had movies and TV shows on Netflix. The one that they didn't show numbers for was Jupiter's Legacy, and that interested me. And also, I know coming at the end of November, Mark has Super Crooks, but it's a Japanese anime adaptation of Super Crooks. So I'm very curious to see how that turns out.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see. I feel like they must have needed way more viewers for Jupiter's Legacy than just like a Bridgerton. You know, like it seemed like it must have just been an expensive show for him. And then also, it sort of had the misfortune of coming out at the same time as Boys season 2, and that was the one that people locked into. You know, like that's the one they wanted to see. So.
Timing is everything. You're absolutely right, man.
Yeah.
But I also love the kind of tortoise and hare race that the streamers are doing, and it like for instance with Only Murders, like all of a sudden like Hulu just has like a ton of really good stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm like, God, I'm really glad I didn't drop Hulu. There's a ton of shit on there that I'm watching right now. I watched the as I told Bendis, the McCartney Rick Rubin.
I heard you talking about that. I'm
really
really interested in that. I was watching the Dave Grohl one of those that I think is on Apple TV. Is that right?
Oh, that's because I remember the HBO one where he would go from studio to studio. I don't know if I've seen is it about specifically the Foo Fighters catalog or Dave in general?
No, it's about he goes and sits with another musician and they talk about music and stuff. He's got one with Pharrell where he talks about Pharrell. And Pharrell talks about how he stole this thing from
Marvin Gaye.
He tells he tells Pharrell about how he stole the Smells Like Teen Spirit drums from the Gap Band. And then they play it back and back, and it's just like it's exactly the same. It's like da 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 da.
That's really interesting. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to, and that's on Apple TV. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, Dave Grohl's Apple TV show. I don't know what it's called.
No, look, I mean that should be easy to find. That's cool. All right, and again, I asked Brian this too, and I'm glad you got Apple TV. Sure, Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is amazing. How about For All Mankind, the astronaut show?
I watched the first one and I was like, I'm gonna have to really look at this. And so I haven't continued. A buddy of mine worked on the props department on it. And so, and I was watching real close at like the detail of it. It looked like it was so well designed. And so I definitely want to watch it real closely. I haven't watched it yet.
I mean, I liked both seasons, and the first season is kind of alternate. Well, actually it goes beyond that. I was gonna say alternate universe, Right Stuff, but I think I'm conflating that with the Right Stuff TV show that was on Disney through National Geographic and everything. But I love it. And the second season of For All Mankind, even more so, because it's basically the 80s. And, first season's like the 70s and stuff, after initially starting with the Russians beating us in the 60s to the moon. I think it's great. It amazes me. And as my buddy Rob Burnett even said, and being the hardcore Star Trek fan, it's like, this could be the Star Trek prequel that we all wanted from the 20th century, and using real history to inform where Star Trek goes. And it's so true. And also just even the vehicles and the bases, because they, to kind of keep up with the Russians' evolution, and that the Russians beat us on the moon, both the Soviets and us build moon bases and are going back and forth and stuff like that, which is amazing. And then there's even more of an evolution of vehicles and other technology and stuff that they use. And it's like, oh, that is fantastic that they're doing this. So, and they got great, as I do my Alan Arkin, they have these great mimics doing Reagan and some of the other politicos that we all know the voices and stuff. And, well, I'm very happy to announce we have our first moon base here on the moon, and it's the United States. And it's like, yeah, it's great, Ronnie. Fantastic. So hilarious. I love it.
I watched one that I bet you would dig.
Which one?
And it's about when they faked the moon landing. And it's like a found footage movie.
Okay.
Where, it's called Operation Avalanche, 2016, and I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. It's the guys that made that movie, The Dirties, that was like the school shooter movie.
Yep.
And it's about these guys that are in the FBI, and their two dipshits end up like, you know, finding themselves at NASA, and NASA's like, we're not going to be able to make it to the moon in time, and they're like, we should fake it, you know, like, and so, but it's like it takes on this very serious tone. Like it starts off where it's just like this guy's an idiot, but it goes this real serious way where it's just like, oh no, he's in real trouble now. It was really charming. Like I liked it a lot. It had Stanley Kubrick's in it, you know, like they do all that stuff, and I think you would dig it.
Isn't Rupert Gint or whatever Ron Weasley from Harry Potter? Isn't he in that one?
I don't think so. It's all.
Okay.
It's just like a bunch of people you don't know.
Okay.
But the one guy's the guy from that was in the Dirties.
Okay.
And then it's just like it's believable as a found footage documentary type thing because it's like besides that guy who you saw in one other movie, it's just all people you're just like, I don't know that guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and I love. You ever see the original early 70s Capricorn 1?
Yeah.
James Brolin, for everybody else, James Brolin, Sam Waterston, O.J. Simpson, they're the astronauts, and they're doing a simulated landing on Mars, and going by whatever the computer tells them. And Hal Holbrook is the shady black ops guy that's behind the whole program and stuff. And all of a sudden, the computer is like, there was an accident, and all the astronauts are dead. And these guys are not dead, but you know everyone's following on TV and watching this coverage, and all of a sudden they've got to like escape and get out through the desert and stuff, and the black copters are after them. It's fantastic.
Yeah, excellent movie.
I love that movie absolutely. So
yeah, I've been watching Y the Last Man, and I dig that.
How is it? I haven't started it yet.
People like the people I talk to that are also watching it all seem to say that it's like moving too slow for them or whatever. But I'm just like, this is great for me. Like I dig it. And the weird thing about it is Yorick, having read the book, like, did you read it when it was coming out?
Oh yeah.
So, but you're like 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
So did you think Yorick was cool or a dipshit?
That's a fair question. I just think he was unaware and unfortunately kind of forced into this like thing that was much bigger than him. And so I really kind of sympathized with him just being over his head from day one.
When I'm reading it as a 24, 26-year-old, I just thought he was the coolest guy. I'm just like, so this is the story about the coolest guy on earth is the last guy on earth, like he's funny, he does magic, and now it's the exact same character, but from a 42-year-old perspective, I'm just like, this asshole, when will he take responsibility? Like he's the last man on earth. That's a very interesting thing that happened by just growing 20 years older in between having read it and having seen it on TV.
I don't know if you heard me and Brian talking about Ebert. Ebert gave that exact review of La Dolce Vita, and when he was young, he admired the guy. And then as he got older, he's like, this guy's an idiot. And so, no, I understand. And that's the great thing about art is depending on your mood or your age or whatever, it can hit you in different ways. Or you could pick up things that you didn't pick up the first time. So, I'm so happy for Vaughn. I mean, good Lord, we've waited forever for a movie, and now we got the series. Vaughn, I guess, is in New York. I didn't realize that.
Oh, no kidding. I never met that guy. I mean, I met him one time at a comic store, but I've never had a conversation with him or everything.
I met him literally, and it was so funny when I was just starting Word Balloon. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll do that show." He's like, "Just give me a few months," and then by the time that he's like, "Hey man, no offense, but really, I'm just so swamped with the movie and everything else. I'm gonna have to." He goes, "I'm really just kind of pulling back from all that stuff," and he's like, "No hard feelings." I'm like, "No man, good luck."
He sure did. He pulled all the way back,
and that's okay.
You don't hear from him.
We missed him, and we certainly missed the output. But maybe now that it's finally gestated and everything, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, obviously Robert Kirkman still has time to crank out books and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, Vaughn was a huge influence on Stray Dogs specifically.
Really?
Yeah, just because I'm always so impressed by his endings, and and just his. He does good tricks and when you're reading a comic and you get surprised by something, not even at the end yet. He's great at those. And I was always trying to make sure that when we ended an issue of Stray Dogs, it was like in the most Brian K. Vaughan-ish possible, like, oh shit moment, or what are we going to do now? Or like a big reveal that like is exciting, it was a huge, that was sort of the bar I set for myself.
I understand.
I don't know if we got there every time, but that's what I was shooting for sure.
Very cool. Well, again, very unique book, and look forward to more success through that. And like you said, I'm glad that the next volume of that is on the way. Any, what do you, how do you, like do you have time, and have you had a moment to step back, look at what's happening in comics? Because again, especially this week, talking to Brian, talking to Scott Snyder, what he's doing with Best Jacket, all the Substack stuff that's going on and everything for the 1%ers out there in comics.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's not a pejorative. It's just the truth. Yeah. And also, just the roller coaster that DC and Marvel are on in different amusement park rides. What do you think?
I mean, I feel like the Substack and the people, I mean, Scott Snyder had like in that Amazon deal, and like, I feel like all of this stuff moves pieces around and sort of takes, Greg Capullo's off the board now. Like, he's off doing creator-owned stuff, which is what I want him doing. And with Scott Snyder, and that's awesome. Like,
yeah,
that's the stuff I want to see from him.
Sure.
And it sort of opens up a new spot for, the top Batman artist. And now Jorge, the guy that draws the JTIV's Batman, like, he's the new shit.
He's
like,
he's the new it guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Super great at it. And it's sort of like, it's like Image in a way. Like, we take the people that have been sitting on top, and we move them over here, and we let them make their own stuff. And hopefully that just is an engine that runs itself, right? And then they're doing that now. And then now there's room for more people to pop up. Now there's, Mark Bagley's the top guy drawing Spider-Man now. And so, so on and so forth. So, I mean, as far as like a broad stand back and look at it view, that's sort of what it looks like to me is, industry moves in cycles. And I don't know where I'm myself am sitting in the cycling that's going on right now, but in the same way that these Substack guys have enough to sit back and make their own books for a couple of years, I have enough to sit back and make my own books for a couple of years. So cool, like, we'll see what happens from here.
Tone, I'm not a 1%er when it comes to broadcasting, and I have very, very successful friends in broadcasting. Mike Greenberg at ESPN, is one of my dearest friends, and my buddy Jesse Rogers is the top sports reporter for ESPN in Chicago. My buddy Judd Surratt is the radio voice of the Boston Bruins, and we all started together. They have done those things. And I, in the meantime, have survived in the broadcast world up until COVID and created Word Balloon. And I'm very happy that Word Balloon is what it is. And I love that it's mine. And I love that the audience, especially the League of Word Balloon listeners, is supporting it. But everybody that watches and listens. And I'm very happy running my own race in my own lane, cheering my friends on who are, can buy and sell me 10 times over. And that's great. Wonderful. God bless them all. But I get to do what I want in a different way, and have found that way on my own with the support of the audience again. And it's great. And it really does. And it's, I will even reveal that, and it wouldn't impact Word Balloon. I'd still be able to do Word Balloon, but, I went in and did a job interview with a digital company. We'll see if it comes through. It's great, but if not, again, Word Balloon is chugging along and everything's going all right.
That's good.
So,
man.
Yeah.
I mean, you provide an important service.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Reverse Amoeba says, congratulations on Stray Dog being such a hit. I love the book, and it was awesome to watch it blow up like it did. Absolutely, man.
Thank you. Yeah, same.
But the main concern right now is, of course, Time Shopper.
Time Shopper. Yeah, that's what my whole like I was saying earlier, my whole day is filled with Time Shopper, Kickstarter, working on that. They say it's like a full-time job, and luckily I have two other people sort of working alongside me. My buddy Ryder, who did this book, Names in the Atomic Age, and then Misi, who drew the book. And we're sort of like all in it together, like this boulder up the hill. But you know, it's funded, and so now it's just sort of like, now we're just trying to see how we can get to go and that. And then the real, like, the grind that we're in right now, Trish and I, on Stray Dogs is Stray Dogs Dog Days, the follow-up. And that comes out in December and January, at the end of this year, beginning of next year. It's 2 issues. It's 2 giant size issues. It was going to be like one big fat annual. And Image was like, this sells pretty good. Maybe we should sell it 2 times. I was like, all right. I trust your judgment.
Wow.
Fine.
So one big story or 2 or a couple stories? What's the plan?
So what it is when we pitched the thing, we said, here's the story of Stray Dogs. And if it's successful, like if people like it, we have these, like an anthology we'd like to do where it's just like short stories about one story about each of the dogs in the house.
Yeah.
And so it's 2 issues and it's 10 stories, and you get to have a little more about every dog in the house. And so the weird thing about it is it's just for fans of Stray Dogs, right? Like,
sure.
If you don't know Stray Dogs and you read it, you'll be like, oh, those are nice, creepy stories about dogs. But if you read Stray Dogs, you're like, oh, it's about Victor, or it's about Killer or Earl or whatever.
Yeah.
But because Stray Dogs did so well, and there's sort of like this speculator, whatever, this is going to sell better than the first issue of Stray Dogs sold. So there's definitely going to be people that are just going to be like, what is this? Like, what? This is what people have been talking about. It's just short stories about dogs. It's crazy that this took the comics industry by storm.
That's outstanding. That's amazing.
But, so that's what my anxiety is about on this. But we're just doing our best to make like really fun little short stories, and it's sort of like back to early days of comics when we would do like anthologies and like all these, like putting together a short story is a different skill than doing a full issue or a miniseries or something. And so it's been fun to sort of have different length story, like 3-page stories or 10-page stories, or 5-page stories, So that's what Dog Days is. And it comes out in December and January. So
that sounds great.
Now. Thanks.
I haven't noticed. Patricia's asking, have we noticed that since Stray Dogs blew up, a lot of comics have dogs in them now? Tell me.
Mark Russell's doing like an Ace the Bat Hound thing.
That makes sense.
Right now. I don't they did not say due to the explosive success of Stray Dogs, we're doing a Ace the Bat Hound comic, but
Well, and I do know that, and I don't even know when it's coming out, but the Super Pets movie eventually, I think probably next summer or something like that. And of course, our buddy Norton has been doing Battle Pug.
Pugs, forever.
For Degs, for a long time. Yeah.
I have a buddy that's doing a secret dog DC thing that predates Stray Dogs also. I think some of it is I'd like to hope that some of it is they're swimming in our wake, but I think some of it's just coincidental. I don't know. I'd look at like I hope that like Stray Dogs readers will pick up like Beast of Burden and stuff like that has been out there, cranking out good dog comics for years. Autumn Lands is coming back.
Yep.
Kurt Busiek had that announcement today. They're going to republish all his stuff at Image, including Autumn Lands and Astro City. So
I didn't see that announcement. That's great. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to yesterday or today on any of the con news, but that's great. That's good to hear about with Kurt. And of course, Norton did that Astro City dog issue.
Yeah. Oh, and there was a really good Runaways. It was like a dog issue, but it was with the old Lace, the Velociraptor. It was sort of like their dog issue.
Yeah.
In that book. So,
I remember, and I forget who was writing Superman at the time, but when they reintroduced Bronze Age Atlas that DC did in those first issue spectaculars and stuff, he came and it was Superman antagonist, and obviously had the strength to fight Superman. And the whole time, Crypto seemed a little out of control, and Lois is like, he's kind of wild and stuff. And then Superman's like, Crypto is a good dog. And like, it's like, Lois, do not worry, Crypto's a good dog. And at one point, when Atlas is attacking Superman, Crypto saves him and like grabs Atlas's arm and will not let go. And it's just so great, where it's just so classically dog, but also at the same time, it's like, no, man, that's fucking Crypto, man, doing his thing. So,
I mean, dogs are sort of like a secret weapon in fiction and storytelling, where it's just like you forget that, you know, it's like my dog is in the living room right now. And so he's not really in the story in this moment. But if he came over here, you'd be like, oh, thank goodness. Well, we got a dog in here all of a sudden, you know,
Tone, I say that every time. All my guests are so embarrassed when like the cat walks by or the dog won't, you know, go away. And I'm like, no, that's great. I'm like, we all love pets. Come on, man.
Yeah, dog content.
Like, that's great.
We sort of like, I didn't consider it with Stray Dogs that it would connect with dog people in that way. More, we thought like, I wish this was about cats because cat people are wild. You know, like they're crazy about cats.
That's true. Well, maybe another arc.
No. I don't want to make people go through all that trauma over and over again. We just kill people's owners.
Was that, and given that the poor dogs really are going through so much and stuff, did you go? I mean, did dog communities find you, or like, you know, or did you guys like go out to? You know, because like Norton does that with Battle Pug. Mm-hmm. You know, he really went out to the pug community, the pug owning community, and of course they fell in love with it. They were thrilled, but obviously a little different story than Stray Dogs.
Well, yeah, I feel like if the world wasn't in COVID, I probably would have tried to find some of those dog conventions or try and set up at some of those things, you know. But we had there was a community that rose up around Stray Dogs, sort of without us really doing anything, of people who are comics fans and dog people, and they just sort of like embraced the book and built this. There's like a Facebook group, the Stray Dogs Facebook group, that is just like people, rabid fans of the book, but also they just half the time they just post pictures of their dogs and stuff, you know, and like it's great. You get to pop in there and see people's new puppies, or see, you know, so you cry when their dogs pass away, you know, like it's just like this dog people community that also feeds my ego at the same time, where I can show up in the morning and go like, they love me, and then go about my day for a while, and then, you know, pop back in and see some pictures of dogs and mix it up with them a little bit. Yeah.
Cool.
We haven't done dog cons. I would love to go set up, like split a table with Norton at one of those and do like
that's a great idea. Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Jesus, that'd be fun. Good Lord. Well, there's the URL for Time Shopper.
Yes.
Kickstarter.com/projects/Time Shopper comic/time-shopper.
Or you can just go to timeshoppercomic.com. That'll link you right there as well. Or any of my social medias. I'm always posting about it. And you've got 20 more days to hop on there and get Time Shopper before the Kickstarter ends. And like I said on here, there's still a couple of those cool high tier options left. There's one where Christian Misi, the artist, will do a caricature of you and any historical figure you want.
Hilarious.
So there's one of those left. That he's doing like 15, and there's one left. And then we've got the Time Shopping bag, which is the one that comes with like the autographed picture of Jesus and the Pogs and all the other cool sort of like secret stuff that hasn't been released yet. And all that stuff is at timeshoppercomic.com on the Kickstarter.
There you go, folks. Timeshoppercomic.com. Tone, as always. Well
John,
done.
thank you for having me.
Oh, please, buddy. You know it. And no, always good hang time and stuff. Hang out for a second. I'll take you out of the picture because I don't want you to be embarrassed by my clothes tonight. But unfortunately, my cousin passed away. So I'm a little moment for my cousin here because she was really important.
Sorry,
thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. My cousin Andrea, everybody, passed away. And Andrea and her sister were very instrumental in getting me into comics back when I was a very small kid. I mean, literally, they were the sisters that read Betty and Veronica and all the Archie comics and had Mad Magazine. And they would read them to me and help me learn how to read with that stuff. And she was great. And unfortunately, she was in some really bad health. So it's kind of a blessing in that way when someone's dealing with a terrible ailment. But she's on my mind today, and I can't help but acknowledge her. So a little tribute to Andrea, who was a sweetheart of a woman and a good friend to me as well as a great cousin. And was one of those reasons why I'm still into comics and talking about comics today. So a little different ending to tonight's Word Balloon podcast and video. But thank you for watching as always, and thank you for being with me on the journey. Tony, thank you very much for being on the show as well. And I think we already made it a hard decision. Cliff Chang will be joining us on Monday night on Word Balloon Live to talk about his new Catwoman run. So look forward to that. And another big week here on Word Balloon. Brian Bucoletto is going to be joining us on Wednesday, and a few other tricks up my sleeve. So it'll be fun. And then again, we're only 2 weeks away from the Ringos in Baltimore. So check all that out. But until next time, everybody, thank you very much. Stay safe, stay